that Saquon is going to have on the Eagles. Take a listen.
Yeah.
He's a special player. We've been able to see him twice a year, every year, going against him. You know, I remember him running down the sideline, giving the peace sign as he scores a touchdown. So I'm excited for him to do that for us. You know, it's a little bit, it just feels surreal having a running back like that. You know, he's going to be able to change the game so much for us.
I mean, just further proof of what Brew's been saying. And you were the first person to ever say it.
As far as I know, I was.
Which is what?
I think he can have a Christian McCaffrey type impact on this team. And look, the Niners were really good before McCaffrey got there. They had a ton of weapons, so I don't think it's that much of a reach. Barkley, Nick, was arguably a top 5 running back in New York, where he had a bad offensive line all those years, bad, I would say, quarterback play all those years. No real receivers. Like, the defenses could stack the box, they could focus on him, and he still, when healthy, would give you over 1,000 yards. Yep. What's he going to do when you can't stack the box? You got to worry about the receivers. You got to worry about the tight ends. You got to worry about Jalen Hurts. Like, there's only one reason, in my view, to be skeptical about Saquon Barkley, and it's legit his health, because he does get hurt. But if he's healthy, I don't know why we don't think he'd be great.
What about the fact that Saquon Barkley has been in the league for 6 years and has had one A+ year, and it was his first year? Is that not a concern? And since then, yes, he has suffered injuries, but that it's not only that he lost time because of the injuries, but it's also maybe he's not quite as dynamic. Like, we can show you.
There aren't very many running backs that have great years on bad offensive teams.
Okay, but I guess Christian McCaffrey did multiple times.
And he had
Derrick Henry did multiple times.
Well, Henry's different. I mean, Henry's on another level.
All right, that's fine.
But I'm just saying, like, McCaffrey was not viewed as a future Hall of Famer in Carolina.
I think McCaffrey was incredible in Carolina.
Thank you, Coach.
McCaffrey was the only bright spot.
Well, it wasn't that bright, though. Because how many games were they winning?
They moved on from him because of the injuries. They didn't move on from him.
I thought it was similar to Barkley.
And he's been incredibly healthy in San Francisco.
Okay. Unfortunately, that's all that's of this clip, so it's obviously cut a little short. But we are going to prove Nick Wright wrong undeniably once and for all. I have an actual receipt. A subscriber sent me this video of Nick Wright. Nitrab, give you a shout out. Thank you so much for sending me this next clip that I'm going to show, because what Nick Wright is saying is complete and utter nonsense. Before I show you the other clip, I just want to emphasize that Barkley, you know, since he's been in the league, has been top 5 in average yards from scrimmage, okay? He's top 5. So he is clearly a top 5 running back. You can't even argue it, because it is. It's just the reality of it. The fact that he's been able to do that on the Giants is nothing short as extraordinary. They have a bottom 3 offensive line since he's been in the league. Bottom 3 consistently. And yet he's still been able to put up good numbers. Now, what's so interesting is that Nick is so adamant, so confident that Saquon Barkley is not that good of a player, that he's not going to have an actual impact on the Eagles and be an improvement for the Eagles, which is really bizarre, because it would appear that not even a year ago, he was saying that the Dallas Cowboys should go make a splash move and go get Saquon Barkley to help them get to the Super Bowl. And it's weird, because why would he think that Saquon Barkley was good enough to help out Dallas, but now suddenly he's just not a good running back, only had one good year, peaked his rookie year, and can't help out anyone? Really weird. Let's take a listen to see what he has to say. That was 9 months ago. 9 months ago. Let's take a listen.
So, Nick, are the Cowboys still a piece away, or pieces?
I think they can make the Super Bowl as is, but if I were them, I would try to make a dramatic move. I've got 3 for you.
Oh, let's see it.
You wouldn't do all 3, but they're just different types of options. We can show them to you right now. Call up the New England Patriots, see if Kyle Duggar's available.
No, thank you.
What? Okay, all right.
Wow, so a dramatic move. Who Dallas should target, according to Nick? That's interesting. That's Saquon Barkley, right? That's weird thing to do. One, why would you call it a dramatic move if Saquon Barkley wasn't that good? And also, if Saquon Barkley is not going to elevate you, why would you go out and do that to help you get to the Super Bowl? Really weird, man. Weird.
I'm telling you, call up the Raiders, see if remember Hunter Renfrow? He was Pro Bowler 2 years ago, and then Josh McDaniels got there. Was like, I don't like you, and so he doesn't get in the offense.
Yeah, you should do a
Or
press
call
conference.
up the
Talking about
Giants
targets.
about Saquon.
Trade
I
for
like that
Pollard.
a lot.
Trade.
No, a trade. These
I
are
don't
all
want
draft
him, man.
picks.
They just paid Pollard's franchise.
Both these guys are under franchise
Yeah.
tag, and as you said yesterday, Pollard might be better
No,
as a
they
change of
need
pace.
a big. They need a big guy. I don't know
And a
if it's-
pass catcher guy, which Saquon could do.
Saquon?
You could have both. You could have both them on the field.
Saquon
No,
would
I'm
do
saying
it.
Saquon's great.
those
I
are
wasn't even
teams.
thinking
The
that level
Raiders,
of-
the Patriots, and the Giants are out of it. The Raiders aren't using their guy. I think any of those guys could be had for various draft compensation. If I were the Cowboys,
you
I'd
went
go
Packers, Vikings. Do you think the Saquon NFC East thing works, or is it too kind of contentious?
You say, do I think the?
Like, could you trade within the division?
No, you're not. No, not when you feel like that team is a Super Bowl contending team. You're not going to give up Saquon and help them get
But
there.
Saquon, they might lose. The Giants might lose Saquon for nothing this offseason. They're terrible. They should trade him. They should trade Saquon Barkley.
I don't disagree with
but
that.
maybe it's to
But
Baltimore to somebody
Yeah,
else.
you're not doing it to the Dallas Cowboys, who you feel like if we're saying they're a piece away, which I believe that they're going to have to figure it out with the pieces that they have, because Trayvon Diggs being out of that secondary is.
So interesting. It's really bizarre why Saquon was going to help the Dallas. First off, it's funny that he said that the Dallas Cowboys, he thought they were going to go to the Super Bowl. Then they got blown out by the Packers, as we all know. And then he wants to say that it's a big move, that the Cowboys should absolutely go for Saquon, that he can help them. And he starts praising him, saying he can also catch passes. That he was saying that Saquon Barkley is a legitimate piece for the Dallas Cowboys to help them get to the Super Bowl and be a better team. So please tell me why all of a sudden Saquon Barkley is just not a good running back in his eyes. Please tell me why all of a sudden, he just peaked, he's not good, he's not even going to make any type of improvement for the Eagles. He said that multiple times in multiple clips on multiple days, that Saquon Barkley will not have any measurable impact on the Eagles. He didn't say he's going to be garbage for the Eagles, but he said that there's not going to be any type of upgrade from a running game. Please tell me how that's possible. I mean, if you want to argue that point, I'm okay with that. I really, really am. But you have to explain to me why. What is the actual reasoning why the same running back was going to measurably improve the Cowboys? The same guy was going to legitimately help them get to a Super Bowl, to the point where you're actually going to trade draft capital for him, which is more than just money, but go out and just get him. But yet that same player, who the Eagles didn't have to give up anything, they just had to pay him, is not going to help them. It makes zero sense. There's no logic behind it. None. Except for that he's clearly a Cowboys fan and anti-Philly at that point. And I don't like to ever say someone is anti-something or negative, because we use that all the time. People say that about me, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not anti any team. So I don't want to ever say that loosely. I even regret even just saying it right there. But there is this weird extra, I don't want to say bias, but it's like this feels actually appropriate. This weird extra oomph against Philly. And it doesn't make any sense, because I've said this a lot, he's not anti-Philadelphia as a whole, because he completely supports Joel Embiid and the Sixers. Like, he's defended them a lot and defended Joel Embiid a lot. So it's not just Philly as a whole. But again, to me, this is perfectly accurate of not being consistent. You're allowed to change your mind. And you're also allowed to say, listen, I think Saquon would help Dallas, but not Philly. But you have to give me reasons why. And the reasons that he's given to me now are not actual reasons. Because if those reasons were true, what he's saying, then it would apply to the Dallas Cowboys. That's where the inconsistency lies. He's giving us reasons right now why he believes that Saquon Barkley will not be good for the Philadelphia Eagles. But if those reasons are accurate and true, then they would be true for the Dallas Cowboys. Therefore, the Dallas Cowboys shouldn't try to go out and get him. That's where I'm like, where does this make sense? How do you add this up? If you want to say, listen, I think because of the way the Philadelphia Eagles offense is run, because of their offensive line, because of Jalen Hurts, because of, Dak Prescott, because of Mike McCarthy's ability to use this and that, like those, I'm open to those reasons, right? At least it'll actually be legitimate logic. And then I can either say, you know what, that's a good point, or no, I totally disagree because I think Jalen Hurts will be able to do X, Y, and Z. But that's not what he's saying. Make no mistake about it. That's not what he's saying. He's not pointing out specific reasons within Philadelphia why Saquon won't be successful. Because he's saying essentially Saquon just individually as a football player is not that good. And he even said one of his last Saquon takes were that he thinks people are only high on Saquon because they like him as a person, which is actually a massive slap in the face. More so than I think people realize. It sounds like, oh, well, hey, he's saying that he's a good person. No. It's saying, listen, man, you're actually not that good. And the only reason why people even say that you're that good, not because you're actually that good, but only because they like you. That's actually incredibly insulting. Incredibly insulting. It's just kind of bonkers to me. It really is, and I'm so happy. I think I'm saying her name, Nitrab, a subscriber, sent it to me. I really appreciate you sending me this clip. Definitely, guys, if you have any other YouTube clips like this, always feel free to send them my way or point out other things, any inconsistencies that you may see, or no matter what show it is. And this isn't meant to just harp on Nick Wright. I agree with plenty of what Nick has to say. I'm definitely not trying to build a channel based around like, hey, I just hate on Nick Wright because I really don't. I think we're all allowed to have our various opinions. We're all allowed to have our own biases. We're all allowed to be right. We're all allowed to be wrong. It is obviously fun, and Nick brings it on to himself. I think he knows that. He wants that. He does kind of come from the Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless type of school of thought where it's like, hey, I'm just going to say whatever. People are going to hate me. They're going to love me. Either way, they're going to watch me. And so I think he's okay with it. He's like kind of like, that's fine. Bring it on. You can hate me all you want, but you're still watching me. But when I do see an inconsistency like this, it is very it's comical to me. It's comical and it's a little crazy. It's something that I personally try to not do. And it's going to happen to a degree. When you're making so many clips, so many takes, you're bound to contradict yourself. I'm sure I've contradicted myself 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 times already, right? I probably sometimes contradict myself within the same take. It's just going to happen. When you're talking a lot and you're making all these clips, sometimes I reach a conclusion about something and then like, I'll forget it. There's so many times, like, even just my own personal philosophy on life, I'll randomly be like, oh yeah, I did think that this is what I need to do to live like a happy and healthy life. I forgot about that. Like I forget my own conclusions. It's why people who are religious, if you're religious or spiritual, you keep rereading the same stuff. If you're like Christian or whatever, you read the Bible and you read those teachings again and again and again because you forget them. No matter how much you believe in them, you're like, oh yeah, right. I got to be good to people and not lie. Like you have to remind yourself, unfortunately. We can only retain so much information. So I hold certain conclusions like, and so it's not hard to imagine that, a year ago, I'm really high on Saquon. And I'm like, Saquon, dude, he's legit. And then 9 months later or so, I'm like, not really. But you have to kind of acknowledge that. Or, again, give me better nuance. Give me more concrete reasons why you felt this way 9 months ago and why you now suddenly changed your mind. Why you think Saquon will be great to the point where the Cowboys need to actually give up draft picks to go get someone who's also going to be able to leave in free agency, so also an extra gamble. Why you think he's going to legitimately help you get you over into the Super Bowl, but then for the Eagles, a team that actually went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago, he's just not going to have any impact. And the fact that even the idea that he will have a positive impact, Niff scoffs at and says that's ridiculous. He doesn't even let them finish their take. He's just like, oh, right, sure. Saquon is suddenly going to be a great quarterback or great running back. Well, you thought he was a great running back before, and you thought that he was going to help out the team that you liked, but now that he's going to a team that you don't like, he's apparently just not good. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. I can't. I really, really can't. And actually, I'm going to ask you guys straight up right now. Outside of all the obvious reasons that we are going to probably talk about in the comments below, I am genuinely curious. This is a direct question to you all. Can you please explain to me, if you have any idea, outside of bias and stuff like that, why do you think Saquon Barkley would have been good with the Dallas Cowboys, but not the Philadelphia Eagles? I'm just trying to find any kernel of truth to it. Why the same running back would thrive with the Dallas Cowboys, but somehow with the Philadelphia Eagles have no measurable impact, no actual upgrade. Please let me know. I would really love to hear your thoughts. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. And I do also just want to emphasize that when I do kind of directly try to prove someone wrong, like a Nick Wright or whoever, it's always in good nature. It's never meant to tee off on them and say that they're trash and garbage and that they're undeserving. Like, I do for 100% have the highest respect for all of these guys on TV, whether it's Nick Wright, whether it's Con, Cowherd, Brew, Stephen A, even if I disagree with them all the time, even if I disagree with how they approach these things, I do have nothing but respect. This video, these clips that I make are never meant to pull them down, to say that they're dumb, to say that they're liars, that they're cheaters, that they're anything nefarious. It's never intended for that, and it's never to encourage you guys all to kind of bash on them. It's really not. It's just meant for fun, interesting content, to point out inconsistencies, to give my own personal analysis, to encourage you to let me know and voice your own personal analysis and opinions. And that's really what it's all about, and I want to emphasize that very immensely, because I don't normally kind of do direct clips like this in terms of pulling up someone's past, you know, and keeping those receipts. But when someone sends it to me, it's a great opportunity for it, and it's a very obvious example of Mr. Consistent being quite inconsistent. Whew. All right, well, until next time, thank you so much. I'll see y'all later.